You're sitting in a comfortable room, smartphone in hand. You're streaming shows, ordering food with a single tap. It feels great, right? But while your body relaxes, your biggest life goals are quietly dying, untouched, unfulfilled. Endless comfort is the silent, ruthless killer of your ambition. If you constantly plan massive achievements but execute absolutely nothing, you need to face a terrifying reality. Your daily ease is not a reward. It's a psychological prison designed to keep you completely paralyzed. In this explainer, we are going to dissect the 4 invisible walls of this trap. Section 1, the neurological decay, or how cheap dopamine entirely destroys your patience. Think about every cheap scroll through social media, every video game session, and every late-night delivery. Each one forces an unearned pleasure hit right into your system. Neuroscientists warn that this high baseline dopamine from all this effortless digital stimulation is physically altering your brain's reward pathways. You are literally rewiring your biological circuitry to expect a massive chemical reward for doing absolutely zero work. Because of this, basic daily tasks, studying, building a business, practicing a craft, start to feel insufferably boring. Because your brain is just continuously flooded with these instant rewards, the delayed gratification required to actually build an empire, study for a degree, or master a craft now feels, well, physically agonizing. You're conditioning your mind to violently reject hard work. The absolute second the effort begins, the withdrawal kicks in. It causes you to instantly abandon your long-term goals for those cheap daily hits. And the truly terrifying part? You don't even realize it's happening until the ambition is already completely gone. Contrast this modern decay with Sir Isaac Newton. During the Great Plague, he spent agonizing years entirely isolated in his country home. No notifications, no instant feedback. He was just grinding through grueling, unanswered math problems to develop calculus. He endured massive friction, and in return, he achieved immortality. Real power demands sitting with quiet, unrewarded effort for months, sometimes years. But your environment of constant comfort, it trains your brain to surrender the absolute second a task stops being fun. The very moment the cheap dopamine stops, your hijacked brain screams at you to quit. Moving to Section 2, environmental weakness, and how comfort completely removes your survival focus. When your basic needs are met without struggle, you lose the biological fire required to advance. Consider Julius Caesar at the Siege of Alesia. Trapped, starved, and surrounded, he was forced to build unprecedented fortification walls under extreme danger. Greatness historically thrives only when survival or pride is directly on the line. Psychological research on human drive confirms exactly why Julius Caesar succeeded and, honestly, why you remain stuck. Human motivation isn't some magical spark you just conjure up. It relies completely on environmental tension and perceived stakes to ignite action. If you engineer a life with zero tension and zero stakes, you are left with zero drive. You can write down all the goals you want, but without a pressing, unavoidable reason to execute them, your brain will simply refuse to supply the energy. Without a stark, terrifying necessity to solve a real problem or escape a brutal situation, your mind makes a fatal calculation. It defaults to energy conservation. It shuts down your ambition to save calories, falsely assuming you've already won the survival game. When there is no real penalty for staying exactly where you are, passive entertainment will always defeat hard work. You are making a lethal error here. You're entirely mistaking daily safety for real fulfillment. You aren't thriving. You are just surviving, comfortably. This brings us to Section 3, psychological fragility, or how soft living weakens your resilience. Living inside a protective bubble leaves your mind entirely unconditioned for real-world friction. Modern psychological studies on resilience highlight a vital missing concept: stress inoculation. These studies reveal that calculated, deliberate exposure to manageable failures is literally the only way to physically harden your emotional tolerance. Without it, you remain fundamentally weak, completely exposed to the chaotic reality of the world the exact second you're forced to leave your comfort zone. The extraordinarily wealthy Roman statesman Seneca understood this completely. He deliberately designated days to eat stale food and wear coarse clothing. He systematically engineered temporary poverty to forge impenetrable psychological armor. He conditioned himself so he would never live in fear of losing his comfort. Now look at the modern alternative. Because you shield yourself from every ounce of friction, your resilience decays to absolute zero. A harsh comment from a boss, a rejected project, or a bad score sends you fleeing back to your bedroom in sheer panic. The absolute moment a goal demands pain, grit, or public embarrassment, you retreat. Because young people completely fail to build this psychological armor, they become cripplingly risk-averse. They freeze at the exact moment in their lives when they need to take massive, dangerous leaps forward. Which leads us to Section 4, temporal delusion and the illusion of endless time. Safe environments cast a lethal spell, tricking you into believing that next year is when you'll magically get serious. Now look at Alexander the Great. Driven by the brutal, inescapable awareness that time is relentlessly short, he conquered much of the known world before dying at age 32. He operated under the intense, crushing pressure of a closing window. Behavioral economists actually have a name for your modern trap. They call it the present bias. This exposes a lethal human flaw, our tendency to deeply overvalue current ease while severely underestimating the massive compound interest of daily procrastination. You are literally trading your future empire for an hour on the couch. Every single day you delay, the invisible cost compounds, bankrupting your potential before you even reach your 30s. Enduring comfort completely masks this danger. It lulls you into the state of passive drift, days quietly turn into months, months rot into years, critical, irreplaceable windows of your youth pass you by forever. You assume the window of opportunity will stay open indefinitely. Trust me, it won't. And this leads to the ultimate deception. You sit back as a passive spectator in your own life. You fatally confuse the consumption of success content with actually moving toward your goals. Watching other people win on a screen is not winning. It means your environment has fully trained you to choose a digital simulation over real-world power. You are not resting, you are hiding. The clock is running out. The absolute moment you start choosing intentional discomfort, waking up early, stepping into brutal conversations, and destroying cheap distractions, you take back your power. The choice remains unresolved. Will you step into the cold reality of intentional discomfort today, or will you let quiet, comfortable ease silently bury your potential forever?